So way back in the day, before we had Steam to grace us with games on Linux, there were only a few places that were very reliable for that had actual Linux native games, and they were mostly the indie developers that did it. So you had like Jamestown that had a Linux native executable that somewhat worked. It was debatable. You needed at the time I didn't have really nice hardware of the time, so it like ran cruddy on my crappy hardware. But so one of the places you would sometimes get it is itch.io. I think they've been doing that for a while now, yeah. And so you could get it from here. So bunch of like indie games. Oh, is Desura still around? So this is kind of one of the ones that was used very heavily. I think that I had used quite a bit because it had a decent sized library. And again, it's one of those cross-platform clients that worked pretty well. Oh, it went through a name change, I believe, while I was using it at the time. And then it shifted hands a bit too. So, agree, whatever. So yeah, it's got a halfway decent, it had a halfway decent library of games for it. It seems to have done its own thing, but it had like Dwarf Fortress on it and like a bunch of other games on it that you could install from one place. So it was like Steam in that respect, but not at the same time. It had a fair library of games though. The other one back in like 2010, 2011 was actually Humble Bundle. Had a few native Linux games. And so they've still got a lot of Linux native games in it. Let me actually do a new window. Yeah, I know. I need to change that Circs backend or theming to be dark. It's an eyesore. Login. Do I have that in here? No, I don't. Dang it. Which other browser did I have it in? Okay, so worry not. I have the capability of opening like 10 million different browsers to try and figure out which one had the cookies I need. But here, what is it? These first... Yeah, it was into 2012. So Linux gaming was still very immature in even 2012. And then Valve came along and basically helped mature it quite a bit. So this Humble Bundle back here from forever ago had Linux native games in it. Heh. Yeah, I've already redeemed all those codes. Sorry, guys. But yeah, so I think even Cortex Command had a Linux native. And so you'd be able to download it directly. They'd give the links, and they had torrent links as well, of course. But that was a really cool thing that Humble Bundle provided that I found really cool. So yeah, there were a bunch of indie games, and it's like, that's kind of cool and whatnot, but... And then even Voxatron had one way back when. So I had picked up these Humble Bundles because it's like, oh, Linux native games. I use Linux as my daily driver. That's really cool. Now I don't have to, reboot every time I want to play something. And so, I mean, I didn't install all of them, and Some of them are available in repos as demos as well. So Humble Bundle is kind of the big one that really increased my library. That's an Android one. I don't need that one. And it really kind of helped flesh that out. So like even Super Meat Boy had a Linux native way back when in the latest update would have been 2013 that's on Humble. But you see Jamestown, Bit Trip Runner, a bunch of these, and then of course their soundtracks. So buying Linux native games was kind of hit and miss depending on where you looked, but you could still find them. And I think that's one of people's biggest gripes with it, is that, well, it was so hard and this, that, and the and it's like, yeah, I get it. But then eventually, more and more, you kind of see it more and more so, especially with Steam, to where we have more options now that way, and with Proton it makes it a lot easier to have those options and have actually pretty decent performance on equivalent hardware, and sometimes in some cases even better performance, because even those indie games weren't always optimized for the Linux at all. So there were just a bunch of ways that people tried to like get into it. Again, mostly indie devs doing it at the time, but now you see a few more AAA people you still don't quite see it as much, but they're kind of supporting Proton because they want to support the Steam Deck, because Valve decided to do Linux as the base for Steam OS and use that as their handheld, and now many other handheld devs are going to making their own custom Linux distros to provide a gaming experience and be able to tweak and their experience and software in order to be optimized for the hardware. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Algorithm really seems to like that, and it actually helps it get directly out to more people. And you can even join the chat and interact when I'm not online or what have you in Discord, Guilded, XMPP, and check out my streaming stuff. Links are all in the description places, and I will see you guys later.